Doctor Who has a huge problem at the moment, and if it doesn't fix it, who knows what's going to happen to the longevity of the show. Look, I love Doctor Who as a show more than the average person. Like, look at the room that I'm currently sat in. But I think it's okay sometimes to be a little critical and to offer different perspectives, because there's one thing that I think the show keeps doing that really is stopping the general public and a general audience from enjoying it as much as they may be used to. With all this talk of viewing figures and ratings discourse, it is undeniable that Doctor Who just isn't pulling in as many people as it used to. Now, if you've seen any of my viewing figure breakdown ratings videos, you'll know that this is for a multitude of reasons. This video is not just Doctor Who's bad now. It's not. In fact, Season 2 has actually been the most I've enjoyed the show since 2017. And if we're not including 2017, it's the most I've enjoyed the show since 2013. So it's not like I even think the recent seasons are bad. There's just one thing that sort of has a lot of branches. It's one thing with a lot of branches. Now, what is this one thing that I keep referencing? It's something that nobody likes. It's homework. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I think current Doctor Who makes a general audience feel like they've A, either missed something, or B, need to do research and homework to actually appreciate the show that they're being given. This video was sort of sparked by, there's a YouTube channel called Blind Wave, who are just absolutely brilliant, like go and check them out, but they are Americans who react to Doctor Who. I've been following their reactions for a good number of years now, but within Season 2 of the Disney Plus era, and even a little bit with the Empire of Death, they often seem to miss things or be confused or not act hyped at reveals, which is no fault of them at all. Like, this is by no means me sending hate to Blind Wave. They're absolutely great, but when Susan shows up, they have no idea who she is.
Who's that? Do we know her?
I don't know.
They had no idea what was going on there.
I don't know what, like, classic Who weaknesses I have when it comes to whoever that person was, if I'm assuming they're classic Who just by the person's age.
The mention of Omega means absolutely nothing to them.
Omega.
Omega.
Well, I don't know. Clocks.
Maybe we'll get there and we'll figure out, you know? I don't know.
The reveal of Sutekh last season, I think one of them knew who he was vaguely from the Tom Baker era. The reveal of the Rani, they had no idea whether this was a new character or a classic character or what the importance of that character was.
And I don't know if the Ronnies ever come up or not.
The classic, what you assume is classic Who?
Yeah. The lady that gets
the woman in the flashback.
Yeah.
And I really want to stress, that's not Blind Wave's fault at all. That is the reaction of a general audience. That is the reaction of my family.
I was trying to keep up in the whole episode, because I don't know all of classic Who
How are
too
things
much.
connect? Yeah.
I love them pulling from it, but also where I'm like, I'm worried there's going to be too much of stuff that I'm like trying to keep track of.
The only reason my family had a clue who Omega was is because, if you've seen this channel, I don't stop banging on about him. If I hadn't constantly said for years, Omega should be in Doctor Who, they would literally have no clue. They didn't have a clue who Sutekh was, didn't have a clue who the Rani was. But the show drops such importance on, like, the name drop of it, like Sutekh, Susan Triad Tech, like all of that. There's such a heavy focus on, here's a name drop. And a lot of people just don't know who these characters are. Now, I don't think the issue is as simple as don't include them. Like, you're not gonna hear me, who's been telling everyone that Omega needs to come back to the show for years, say, don't include Omega. But I think it's about the way it's done. It's the way it's set up. It works well for classic fans. I mean, look, I can't complain about the Sutekh reveal. Look at our reaction to that moment as a group of die-hard Doctor Who fans. Like, I will forever thank Russell for that moment. Like, that was genuinely a core, key memory or whatever they call it. That was so much fun. We all met up to watch The Legend of Ruby Sunday and got that reveal. Like, that's so much fun. But how did it play to a general audience? People get the name drop of Sutekh and go, Who-tech? Okay, that was terrible. I will not make any more puns. But let's take a look back at the history of Doctor Who, okay? We're going to look at everything Russell's done for Doctor Who and why it seemed to work more effectively in the 2000s, and also look at how the show can actually improve this and make sure that a general audience doesn't feel like they've got to do homework. Before we jump right back to the Russell T Davies era one with Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant, let's just take a look at the 60th anniversary specials. Now, there's one scene. If I could pick any one scene in Doctor Who history to go, I do not like that, it is the start of the 60th anniversary. What on earth were they thinking when the Doctor looks down the barrel of the camera on a weird ropey green screen? Once upon a time, Lord. That whole segment, even Rachel Talalay, the director of the episode, took to Twitter to make sure that everybody watching the episode knew she had nothing to do with those opening 2 minutes. I get it. I see there's a recap. I see why, in principle, maybe it was Disney interference. Maybe Disney said, a new audience won't know the Doctor and Donna, you need to give them some explanation. But it immediately, one, it's shot bizarrely. What are the close-ups? What are the wide shots? What's going on there? Absolutely bizarre choice. As I say, this is not the fault of Rachel Talalay. She is a wonderful director and did not direct that. But that scene, while maybe a fun recap you put on the Doctor Who YouTube channel, is absolutely not your this is Disney Who. The first episode of Doctor Who that Disney received. And imagine you're going to watch this show for the first time and you get a recap of something that happened about 20 years ago. You just don't care. You feel immediately off on the back foot. I think it shows a lack of trust and faith in the audience. Because when you watch The Star Beast, Russell actually wrote it quite well. To the point where, like, every little thing is basically explained. Like, how many times does the Doctor say within the actual episode, not that start bit, like, oh, if she remembers me, she'll die, and all of that. You get it. Do you know what I mean? The audience aren't thick. They can follow this story without that recap. I really think it's that lack of faith thing. Like, the audience, if they want to recap, they should be able to watch that recap on the Doctor Who YouTube channel, or maybe it should have shown before broadcast in the UK. But actually having it as a part of that episode, it immediately puts a new audience or a casual audience on the back foot. They feel like they don't know what's going on. They're not as in the loop as everybody else, which is not a good feeling to have when you're trying to start out with a TV show. It's why, I mean, we'll come to it now, it's why the 2005 revival worked so well. You didn't need to have seen any classic Who at all to enjoy it. Now, I know it's a bit of a different circumstance with the 60th anniversary because you're actively bringing back a Doctor plus Donna, and we will give more lenience to an anniversary special because it's precedent to bring old stuff back, but I just think that being the sort of starting point, it's not good ground. And this is something that's actually quite fixable. Like, that wasn't a script problem or an episode problem, that was something added on afterwards which I don't think needed to be there. But as I say, let's look back. Why did the 2000s Doctor Who work so well? Because you have, oh my gosh, there's a Dalek. Oh my gosh, there's Cybermen. Oh my gosh, it's the Master. Why is that so different to, oh my gosh, it's the Rani. Oh my gosh, it's Omega. Oh my gosh, it's Sutekh. Well, one thing which we may just say, quite frankly, look, I love Omega, but Daleks, Cybermen, and not so much the Master, but also the Master, are just iconic. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are the sort of staples of Doctor Who. So even the design alone, I mean, there was this tweet made by Channel Pup the other day, which did actually make me think, yeah, I see where he's coming from. Look at the Series 2 poster design from 2005, and then the Season 2 villain poster for this era. Like, if you're thinking about kids, if you're thinking about appeal of the show, which is more appealing? Robots versus robots? Obviously, I know neither of them are robots, technically, but we're just thinking from a general audience perspective, like, cool sci-fi robots versus cool sci-fi robots in London, or 3 human-looking people in a spaceship. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can see, and it's not like the new era doesn't do that at all. Like, turning Sutekh from a man into a beast, in theory, makes sense. I just think it was bizarre how much he looked like a dog. Like, if he didn't look like a dog, I think that's quite a good idea. And quite frankly, I'm filming this video before we've seen what Omega looks like in the upcoming season, but I'd be happy for him to be a CGI creature as long as it looks good, because you do want that visually appealing thing. I mean, for kids, it's essential. I literally got into Doctor Who because of this stuff up here. Like, I bought Doctor Who toys, well, I was bought Doctor Who toys for my birthday before actually watching the show. There were so many cool designs, so many cool aliens, and I think that's something that goes under the radar a bit. Like, you need to draw in a young audience via that sort of thing, and I know it's not as simple. I know merch doesn't work like that anymore. There's a generation of sticky iPad kids who don't buy action figures as much as we did in the early 2000s. But it's still got to be visually appealing, and I think it's not like this era, the current era, is entirely devoid of it. The Meep, genius stuff from Russell, bringing back the Meep, because it's a bit of fan service for a general audience, but also you don't feel out of the loop. You bring this alien back sort of as its own thing. Do you know, it's explained within the narrative who it is. It's not a name drop reveal, it's nothing like that. It's just, this is the Meep, he's funny, kids will love him, and they did. Like, that worked really well. And there were supposed to be Meep plushes, but it didn't pan out, sadly. But we've gone on enough tangents here. Dalek from 2005 is probably the best at setting up any villain in Doctor Who ever. That episode, it establishes everything you need to know. And the main thing that this era's missing, it builds and sets up this overarching narrative and reason for a current audience to care about that villain. It sets up this Time War plotline, which literally goes throughout all 4 seasons of Russell T Davies Era 1. And it's a slow build as well. You don't just get the finale being, oh my gosh, it's Daleks. You get a Dalek in episode 5. You establish how dangerous it is. You establish what it can do. You establish its history with the Doctor. And then, by the time you get to the finale, you do actually get an impactful reveal of, oh my gosh, it's a lot of Daleks. We've seen what one Dalek can do, here's what a lot of Daleks can do, and it does actually feel effective. It also pays off little pieces of this Time War arc, which, as I say, will continue throughout these seasons. Then season 2, when they bring back the Cybermen, they don't just drop them in as a big shock, like, oh wow, the Cybermen are here. They do a slow build. Mid-season, you get a huge 2-parter, which is the origin story of these new Cybermen. It was a very deliberate choice from Russell to not just pick up from where the classic series left off. These are new parallel world Cybermen. We as an audience aren't on the back foot. We have seen their origin story. We know as much about these Cybermen as anybody else does. We didn't feel the need to show Attack of the Cybermen on an iPad or anything like they do in Empire of Death when we see Sutekh. They literally show Pyramids of Mars on an iPad, which it's that homework thing. It makes the audience think, okay, I don't actually get the full context, so I'm going to sit back and turn my brain off. Like, no, keep the audience on the same footing as the fans. I think the reason the Sutekh reveal doesn't work as well is because he's literally not been mentioned at all since the 1970s. Like, nobody, because it's focused as a name drop. I do think, like, tying it in with the gods idea is nice, but it's not enough. And also, we've just got to, I'll just side tangent about the gods here, but the rules of them really aren't set up clear enough, I don't think. I made a video last year talking about this problem, but in the current era, it's like that gag from The Simpsons where it's like, if something's unexplained, a wizard did it. If something's unexplained, it's because of the salt. Like, magic. Magic is not an excuse for plot holes. Like, we kind of need to know more about the rules of this pantheon because it's a really good idea. It's a really strong idea. I think Russell, it's like a genius move to bring in this pantheon, bring in this gods. It feels fresh, it feels new, you can tie it into Classic Who, but the ties to Classic Who are a little bit too strong, and it does create this sort of sense of needing to do homework. Now, with the Daleks and Cybermen's return, you had mid-season episodes basically showing their origin story to a new audience. And I get that you can't really do that with Sutek, and in a way you could class Maestro's episode as that. Like, she mentions, oh, the one who waits is almost here. They're explained to be part of the Pantheon, tying in with the Toymaker. But I don't even think Sutek is the worst case of this. We'll discuss the Rani. I think that's by far, and even Omega. Like, I love Omega. I keep saying it, but I don't think those reveals work well for a general audience at all. But why does the Rani reveal not work? Because if you look back at Series 3 with the Master, you didn't have a mid-season episode introducing the Master, but I tell you what you did have. You had a mid-season episode tying into this Time War arc in which the face of Bo reveals, you are not alone. Thus, all the audience needs when the Master is revealed to be a Time Lord is that connection. We've been told for 3 seasons now that the Doctor's the last of the Time Lords, but no, there is another one out there, and he's dangerous and has a history with the Doctor. They didn't need to do the flashbacks, which, from a fan perspective, is nice. Like, when we get the flashbacks of the Rani in Wish World, I like it, I think it's quite fun, but will it make a general audience feel a little like, oh, am I supposed to have watched this before? Whereas, with the Master reveal, sure. In the background, you faintly hear classic quotes from the Master, which alludes to the history, but it doesn't make you feel like you need to do homework, I don't think. Maybe that's a personal thing, but, like, I hadn't seen any Classic Who when I watched that Master reveal for the first time, and I felt completely like, oh, I don't need to go and watch a classic story, I understand who this character is through this episode alone. Like, we get what the Master's doing. He's basically an evil Doctor. That line of, like, if the Doctor can be young and strong, then so can I. Like, all of it establishes this is the Doctor, but evil, plus the last of the Time Lords. And that's all you need to know for that incarnation of the Master to work. And it works really effectively. Whereas the Rani, sure, the Doctor keeps saying he's the last of the Time Lords, but, like, the week prior we saw Susan, who, is she a Time Lord? Maybe, maybe not. The Rani just sort of, I am the Rani. Cool. I mean, I'll actually play a clip of Blind Wave's reaction to this because I think it speaks volumes.
Rani?
The Rani, Rani.
Yeah, I don't know what, like, Classic Who weaknesses I have.
Like, a general audience just doesn't get it. Is she a classic villain? Is she a new character? It's said as a name drop, which only means stuff if you've seen Classic Who. Now, I do want to give Russell a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here, because this is the reason he put the Whoniverse onto iPlayer, right? This is the reason you can just go back and watch Mark of the Rani. You can watch Time of the Rani. I don't think you can watch Dimensions in Time, but do you want to watch Dimensions in Time? And Russell talks about this whole internet age storytelling and hoping that things generate content, which, from a producer-brained perspective, I see, but it's still got to be a good story, and you can't just rely on the fact that people will go and watch a Tales of the TARDIS, or go and watch the back catalogue on iPlayer. Like, the story has still got to function within itself. I also don't think that the Rani reveal is helped by the fact that Mrs. Flood, there's no clues. You can't guess it other than, oh, she's a mysterious time lady. Like, what on earth is Mrs. Flood talking about in the Empire of Death when she says, I will storm down the gates, my kingdom shall come hither, whatever. Like, that's not what the Rani says. Why would the Rani say that? Now maybe I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe in the Reality War, which still hasn't aired as of making this video, we're going to get an explanation for all of that, but I can't lie, I doubt it. And I think that ruins the mystery. You can't piece together who Mrs. Flood is, especially if you haven't seen Classic Who. That literally, do you know what I mean? That this has been a big reveal, and then they're just like, oh, I've bi-generated, I'm here. Like, it's the same thing I was talking about. Oh, a wizard did it, the Salt did it. Why can the Rani bi-generate? Maybe we'll get an answer, but I don't know if we will. I think what's also helped with the Russell T Davies 1 era is we see the Doctor's reaction to a reveal like the Master reveal. We understand through how it makes the Doctor feel the importance of this character. He's shouting, he's scared, he is saying, oh no, this is like a huge threat. Whereas the Rani reveal doesn't happen in front of the Doctor, it happens in front of two random Eurovision stands. Where's the importance? Where's the audience surrogate? Like, we see the Master through Martha and the Doctor's eyes. Through Martha's eyes we go, oh no, it's the Prime Minister, which immediately it's, oh no, the Prime Minister's evil. I mean, it makes a change. But through the Doctor's eyes, it's, this is the last of his kind. You are not alone. It ties in with the Time War. It ties in with all of that. Whereas the Rani coming back, we don't have an audience surrogate there to go, this is X character. It's sort of assumed like, what, you don't know who the Rani is? Well, give it a Google. You shouldn't have to Google, you shouldn't have to do homework for the story to make complete sense. Now, this isn't saying that it's bad, because as I say, I enjoy these reveals. I enjoyed the Omega reveal, but that's another reveal where I feel like it just, people have to do homework. I mean, if you look at my channel, the video on who is Omega, because a lot of people have searched that into YouTube, it's become my most fast performing, highest viewed video of all time already, because I know exactly what happened. People watched that episode and went, oh, Omega? Who's that? Just like Blindwave did. Sorry to keep bringing them up, but just like Blindwave did. Who's Omega? Give it a quick Google. Oh, that's who Omega is. Do you know what I mean? The narrative needs to make it feel contained. This idea of internet age storytelling can be blended with making a cohesive story without having to do homework. And it's having that through line as well of the Time War, which made Russell's first era so effective. They needed to do something like that again for this new era. I mean, when you get to Series 4, the finale brings back Davros, but we understand through the context of that episode who Davros is because, oh, he's the creator of the Daleks, who we've already been introduced to. This guy must be a threat. And then if you count in the End of Time as a finale as well, it's, oh, the Master's here, plus the Time Lords. Having the Time Lords come back makes so much sense because it's the payoff of that Time War arc. Like, imagine the Time Lords came back at the end of Series 1 with Eccleston. It's too soon, and I think that's kind of what happened with Sutekh. If they built Sutekh up, mentioned him in legend, mentioned him in passing, mentioned the one who waits, the god of gods, for a couple of seasons, and then when you bring a close to this god storyline is when you have the god of all gods, Sutekh, come in, it would make more thematic sense. But they sort of defeated the god of all gods in the most humiliating way in the season 1 finale after just 8 episodes. Like, this is the thing as well, I don't want to just complain in this video, I want to offer solutions. I mean, I think with Omega, for example, like a kind of quick fix, if there was an extra episode or one of the episodes that we got was changed to be set on Gallifrey, for example, something like The Well didn't necessarily need to be a midnight sequel. If, for some reason, the TARDIS either takes the Doctor there or the Doctor wants to go there, they go to a destroyed Gallifrey. You're tying in with this whole plotline overarching thing, and let's say Belinda sees a mural on the wall which has Omega, Tecteun, or the other, and Rassilon on. And like, she's like, oh, what's that? And the Doctor's like, oh, it doesn't matter, that's just my history, that was Omega, I fought him years ago. Something like that. I mean, it sounds too expository, and this is kind of off the top of my head, but if you cemented the idea of who this character was earlier on, the name drop would work. If you tie it into Gallifrey, if we actually see a destroyed Gallifrey, like this new era hasn't shown us that. The last time we saw Gallifrey was in the Jodie era. But like, actually going there, seeing it, I feel would make more sense. Especially in this season where the TARDIS is being thrown off course. Maybe the Rani deliberately sends the TARDIS there for X reason that can be written in. But if, just like having a mid-season Dalek episode, mid-season Cyberman episode, you had a mid-season episode that linked to this arc. I mean, you do have it with Lucky Day and Conrad. Like, he as a villain, I think works relatively well. Like, he's not a classic returning villain, but the way they include Think Tank, which is a reference to the classic series, doesn't make you feel like you need to do homework. It's just a nice nod for a new audience. But I really think what was missing from this Omega reveal, or the Rani reveal, was some exploration of Time Lords or Gallifrey, not in an expository way, but just in a way that allows a general audience to go, oh, this is what we're talking about. Like, I'm not saying they should do a slideshow like they did in The Timeless Children, where they're like, here's the history of Gallifrey on my PowerPoint. But there's 100 ways to sort of tie it in mid-season to make this Omega reveal actually really hit. And it's also about iconography. Like, I know I've already said it, but make designs that are memorable. Like, I get why this finale has ended up having a bunch of human-looking villains, and they're giving great performances, but like, Doctor Who also does need to be visually appealing to kids. It needs aliens. It's always had a brilliant blend of aliens and monsters and genuinely good storytelling. And it needs that back again. Now, one example I think Russell did actually do quite well was the Toymaker. Like, he was justified within the narrative as a product of the sprinkling of the salt. Also, because it's a 60th anniversary special, the audience is attuned to the fact that there is going to be fan service. And, although I complained about flashbacks earlier, I think for a general audience it works in the giggle because it's just very quick. This is the old Toymaker, this is the old Doctor. And because it's the first Doctor, people immediately get, oh, 60th anniversary special, that's the first face of the Doctor, here we are, it's a rematch between the pairing. Like, that works. They also don't do the criminal showing it on an iPad, like playing. They didn't play the Celestial Toymaker on an iPad. I think that's the biggest problem with Empire of Death, is just having a complete lack of faith in the audience, and just that it's too fan servicey. Like, as a fan, I like things like that, but also I am aware that, like, this show needs to be made for everyone. I also think final point on this is they need overarching stuff. Like, they need a Thanos type threat. Whether that's Sutek, whether that's Omega, you can't have them defeated in an hour. In this current age of bingeable TV, like, look at all the big shows. Like, they all have a sort of overarching villain, at least for a season, rather than an episode. Like, if you're bringing back Omega, bring him back, make him relevant to a season-long arc, I think. He doesn't need to be in every episode, but, because you can still do it like Flux, you can have your Sontaran episode, you can have your Weeping Angels episode during a bigger season, but having this thematic tie-in throughout the season will keep people watching, it will keep people binging. But yeah, that's the main point I want to make, is Doctor Who needs to stop making people do homework. Because you can tie in Omega, you can tie in the Rani, you can tie in basically any like, they did it with the Meep. They brought Beep the Meep into Doctor Who canon without making it something people have to do homework on. It can be done, and it needs to do that again. Because I think that's one of the reasons why the general public may struggle with this era compared to the old Russell T Davies era. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm chatting a load of waffle. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Do you know any general audience members like Blindwave who are a little bit confused? Oh, we didn't even touch on Susan in this video, but Susan showing up is cool for fans, but like, a lot of people just don't know who she is. Like, it needed to be tied in more. Maybe it will be. We'll wait and see. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy, and goodbye.
Don't forget to click below and subscribe to the official Confused Adipose YouTube channel.
I will destroy you!
She's not seen a single episode.
No, I've watched your episodes.
Keep these sonic screwdrivers.
What else am I saying about the film? Don't watch this one.